They're coming to get you, Barbara. They're coming for you, Barbara.
Welcome to another explosive episode of Schreck Talk. We've actually got a guest here with us today. Johnny Rico is coming back. Say hi, Johnny Rico.
What's up, guys?
All right, so today we're actually going to be discussing going into the video game realms, and we're actually going to be talking about Call of Duty. Now, none of us here are gamers, so we're just going to try this and see how it goes. It may just turn out terrible.
Well, that depends on your definition of gamers. I would say none of us are hardcore gamers.
No, you are probably the closest thing to a gamer, but and I'm probably the least. Johnny here in the middle, but we really don't consistently focus on video games, play a lot, excessive amount of video games. The Call of Duty franchise, though, is one that we have played quite a bit of. Johnny, have you played anything after Ghosts?
No, I haven't. I think the only one since then is Advanced Warfare. No, I haven't tried it yet.
I don't think any of us have tried Advanced Warfare, and we didn't really try the earlier games in the series either.
Well, we played first Advanced Warfare. The only reason I haven't tried it is because it's only available on PS4, and we do not have a PS4 or an Xbox One or Xbone, should I say? So I can't really have. That's the only reason. Otherwise, if I could have got a PS3 version, I was gonna buy it.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, I like and it's weird because all the Call of Duties, I haven't played the World War II ones. I did play World at War a little bit, but not much. I kind of really put up a fuss with it.
That was the first one too. That was the first game we actually rented right before we got into the franchise. That was the one I think it was Johnny and I rented and were playing the story on, and that was what we got to before we got into Modern Warfare.
Yeah, and then Modern Warfare, I would say, for all three of us, is probably the game that we all kind of started with. You guys did play a little bit of World at War, but we really started on Modern Warfare.
Fun fact, Modern Warfare is actually the game that comes after World at War, and the World at War, comes after Modern Warfare. So unfortunately, we never played it beyond that one time we rented it, so we won't really have anything to say about that, even though it's in the, from where we're starting at.
Yeah, and I was going to say here just a minute ago that I started, with Medal of Honor, World War II games. I don't like the whole Advanced Warfare thing. I guess it's probably a reason why I've never been a big fan of Halo. Those advanced, weapons and stuff that they got in that just never really interested me. Besides the point of the aliens running around was kind of cheesy and corny and hokey. But that Advanced Warfare, I mean, it looks great, but it really doesn't do anything for me. Have you thought about, Johnny, getting it?
If I had a PS4, I totally would get it, because I know with the exosuits you can jump super high, and it seems like it would add another level to the gameplay that I haven't seen before, so I would play it.
Now, some people might say that's taking it out of what we've seen so far in the Call of Duty. Call of Duty is, it has gone a little bit into the future in the storyline, but nothing too extreme, just slightly more advanced weaponry. But this is seems like a complete change in the franchise. So I think that's one of the things that maybe will make it a little bit different when you say, something new elements that could, but I'm a little nervous. That's the only thing I was a little nervous that it was going to take it too far away from what Call of Duty is.
Yeah, and they were saying it was they built that one from the ground up, and it was going to change everything. But obviously, none of us have played it yet, so we can't really speak on it. But let's go back to the beginning where we started anyway. Modern Warfare 1. Do you have any, Mr. Joshua? Do you have any initial thoughts on that?
Yeah, this was, even though we had rented World at War and played it and we enjoyed it. Then I think it was Johnny your stepdad or someone had the game. You knew someone who had the game, and you brought it over and we played the online for the first time, because we never played the online with World at War. And I think this is when we caught the bug, when we got it, some good maps in there. I think there was, it was a simple, easy to pick up, as long as you know how to play a first-person shooter. Obviously, Sarah playing tall has had a slightly harder time picking up the game, but it was easy to pick up and it was a lot of fun. And I think the online really grabbed us. And I think from then on, for a couple of years, it was pretty solid. What do you think, Johnny Rico over there?
Yeah, I played a lot of Modern Warfare 1, but it was really the second one that I sunk tons and tons of hours into. But yeah, like you're saying, the online aspect really changed and like made me pretty obsessed with first person shooters. Like my first love was GoldenEye, but there was no online play, so you're kind of stuck with the friends you had. You couldn't experience a lot of different gameplay from different people, so the online, I loved it.
Let's be honest, that it really is about these games. It really is about the multiplayer. Maybe that's why World at War, we never really got into that, because the multiplayer with that really wasn't. I don't even know if they had one with that.
They did, but we didn't. I don't think we even tried looking at it. I don't know why we didn't.
Yeah. The problem with Modern Warfare, the first Modern Warfare, there was a lot of lag, a lot of server issues and stuff like that with the multiplayer online. But you didn't really, once they changed over to Modern Warfare 2, which is the next game that we picked up, obviously skipping the year. I think it was 2007 for Modern Warfare, 2008 for World at War, and then 2009 for Modern Warfare 2. And that's where we really sunk into it.
Well, before we go on, do you guys have a favorite level from the first Modern Warfare? I really liked Block. That was the one I really liked.
Honestly, I was kind of thinking about this when we were going to plan this, and there really isn't too many maps that I remember from some of these games. The only ones that really stand out to me are the Modern Warfare 2 maps.
Well, that was the only one you were really into. I think that's why you never got into the Black Ops and stuff.
Well, I can remember a little bit about Black Ops, and Black Ops 2, we've obviously played a lot of that. Not nearly as much as we did with Modern Warfare 2. We didn't really play a whole lot of Modern Warfare 3 either, but Black Ops 2, and Modern Warfare 2, but I can only really remember one, maybe two maps from the two Black Ops, whereas I can remember several of them from Modern Warfare 2.
Modern Warfare. Yeah, we're obviously, we might as well move on since you guys don't remember any of the maps from that game. But yeah, Modern Warfare 2 is obviously the one that we're going to spend the most time on here, probably because that was the one that we all had the most passion for. I mean, I still own my Modern Warfare 2 sleeper pants, so I mean, that's the one I think we had the greatest passion for. And I remember, John, I think you were Johnny, I think you were the first one you bought the game and brought it over for us to play for the first time. I think that's how it went down. Do you recall?
No, I have no idea.
Of course you wouldn't. Memory is not your strong suit there. Do you remember,
well,
bro?
You played on both PlayStation 3 and Xbox. Is there much difference between the, you hear all the time that Xbox is for the gamers, whereas PlayStation 3 is for the average kind of casual fan. Was there any difference in the online gameplay between Xbox and PlayStation 3, even moving forward, not only on Modern Warfare 2, even though those are the ones that you played the most, kind of doing a compare and contrast between Xbox and PlayStation 3?
It was pretty much the same gameplay. The only advantage I see Xbox having over is just the controller. The PlayStation 2 controller is just not really that good. Or PlayStation 3, I'm sorry.
We can disagree on that. I hate the Xbox controller. It's so giant.
Yeah, we do own a ton of video game systems. We've got 6 Nintendo systems, 2 Sega systems. We've got PlayStation 1 through 3. The only thing we don't have in this house is an Xbox. And I think part of that is I don't really like the controller either. For me, the ultimate controller is GameCube, but we're kind of getting off here.
Yeah, let's get back to Modern Warfare 2. So Modern Warfare 2, what I really liked about Modern Warfare 2 and why I think it was the best game, even though it's not my personal favorite because I didn't spend as much time on it as some of the other games, is it had the best engine. That's the simple. I mean, we don't know much about games, but at the spawn, no other game had spawns even remotely close to how good you spawned in this game. Every other game, I think we've complained about every other game in the spawn matrix.
Oh yeah, and I played the Modern Warfare after they reintroduced it on the PlayStation 3, and the spawn matrix on the online version of that was just as terrible. Modern Warfare 2 was heads and tails above every other FPS that I've ever played on multiplayer.
I actually think Ghost had a pretty good. If I didn't spend a lot of time on Ghost, I know Johnny here did. Maybe he can confirm this for me. But I remember because the maps are quite large that the spawn matrix seemed to be pretty good. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree. It was really good.
Yeah, that's. I mean, compare Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 2, Black Ops. Those ones you spawn so many times. You spawn in inconvenient places, or I don't know how many times I got free kills because people spawned in front of me when.
Yeah, and that pissed me off to the nth degree. When you die and you respawn, and there's some guy waiting right there to kill you again. That's the one thing that makes, I think, Modern Warfare 2, one of the things make Modern Warfare 2 stand out above the rest. Also, like I was just mentioning a few minutes ago, is the levels that you can play. I mean, between Favela and Scrap, I know you're a big fan of Favela.
Well, while Favela may be my favorite map of all time, I think some of the other games afterwards improved because they weren't. This game was very sniper heavy. Some of the games that would come after would kind of tone that down, especially the Black Ops franchise would kind of lessen the ability for people quick sniping and things like that. And the snipers were really dominant in Modern Warfare 2, and that's my biggest complaint about the game.
Well, not as dominant as in Ghost, though.
No, yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit, but in Modern Warfare 2, it seems like you know half, like not half, but maybe about a third of your levels. If you're not a sniper, you don't have it. You have limited options. I know John likes to play. Johnny, excuse me again, likes to play as a sniper. Would you concur with our thoughts on the maps, or do you have a differing opinion?
No, but like you said, I like to play as a sniper. I mean, different levels lend themselves to different gameplay types. Like I can't remember the one, Wasteland, I think.
Wasteland is the one you had the amazing game on, if I recall. It was
and
30,
that is
30
between
kills.
the three of us, because we played a lot. Between the three of us, Wasteland and John, that one night got like 26 kills in a row or something.
It was
that.
It was like 31 or something
Yeah,
like that.
he holds the record by far between all of us.
Yeah, he was almost. My best game was 18-0, but without a death. He managed to pull off a bunch where he could have got the nuke, but you know that was a great game. I recall that quite well. I wish they had. That's the one thing I wish they had the save option for you, so you could save your games on it like you do with some of the later games. You remember playing that game?
Oh yeah, I remember playing that game. My only regret is that I didn't have the nuke kill streak selected for that level.
But how can you assume that's going to happen? I mean, none of us had ever played a match like that. And I think that was, while you make a point that the levels are very varied, I think I don't really like you can still use the sniper, but you in the other games where you can't be as dominant. And that's my biggest problem with Modern Warfare 2 is there were so many people who were dominant. You see this in the other games, but I mean, I don't know how many times I was nuked. That I hated getting nuked. It was my least favorite way to end a match.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't the greatest thing, but the between the engine, the great levels that were on that level or that game, and then you also look at, I loved the way you went through the game, like on the online play, the way you earn rewards and earn weapons. After that, starting with Black Ops, they went to the whole money or whatever option, and then they went to the level option where you have to get a certain amount of points. And I thought it was much more enjoyable to be able to earn everything as you went along instead of having to pick and choose and buy, face paint instead of a gun to kind of customize your character more. I think they really tapped into something in Modern Warfare 2, but then they got completely rid of it when you get the little emblems and you earn all that stuff as you go up in the levels and you get certain things. They kind of went away from that, and you could do your customized banners or whatever.
Well, remember also that Black Ops was created by a different company. Treyarch is the people who made the Black Ops franchise, and Infinity Ward were the people who made Modern Warfare 2. So it was two separate companies actually making different titles. Why you saw that difference? But I personally think that while I agree that it is a better design and it was more exciting trying to get those titles, I remember working towards getting some of those titles. I think that it was nice mixing it up. That's maybe why I like having the two different companies making the game, so you got that different aspect. But I agree that you finally got the option. I remember what was your favorite title to have, John? I remember you had one that I always wished I could have gotten. Do you remember?
My favorite's probably because they had like the little title thing, like the rectangular thing, and then the little picture. You could combine them, and my favorite combination was Angel of Death. I don't remember how you get that.
The one with all the flares coming out of it was the airstrike one from the AC-130, wasn't it, or something like that?
Yeah, for getting the final kill with the AC-130.
Yeah, game-winning kill. I remember it had all the things coming out of it. That was a pretty cool image. And what was the other one? The emblem?
I think that's what the emblem said was Angel of Death, and then that combined with that, because it kind of looked like an angel. It kind of looked like it had wings, so it just looked really cool.
Yeah, I remember. I just loved the Pepsi logo emblem that they had on there
with the knife in between.
Yeah, with the knife. I thought that one was really cool. That was my favorite emblem. I don't remember the titles because it's been so long since I've been able to really play the game. I think you guys tried to play it.
That's one thing that I think makes me not a gamer is the fact that a couple of years after a game is released, it's obsolete. Nobody plays it anymore, especially with the online play.
That's when we're talking about the online. Unless you're WoW, pretty much you're not going to have that aspect. WoW's been around for 10 years, but how long ago was you said 5 years
Modern
ago?
Warfare came out
5
years ago.
5-6 years
and I
ago.
remember just like a year or so ago, I popped on just to see how it was. It took me forever to get onto a map because there was nobody out there playing the game.
Yeah, well, everyone's moved on and gotten to new ones. So, all right, we've pretty much covered Modern Warfare 2.
Modern Warfare 2 is
Favela,
done.
I've already said, is my favorite level. Since we all are really familiar with this game, what was your level?
My level would definitely be Scrapyard. I loved Scrapyard with my dual wield P90s just running around blasting people. I love playing that.
What about you, Johnny Rico? Do you have a favorite level?
Not really. The more I think about it, like, they brought back Favela for Ghost as like a downloadable map, and playing that again, like, I didn't realize how much I missed it until I started playing it again. It was a great map.
So we'll go with Favela. Yeah, Favela is probably my favorite map overall.
Yeah, Boss Scrapyard's the best.
Okay. Well, moving on, the next title that came out, actually, I bought when it came out. It was probably I think at this point we had our 3D TV.
We had our 3D TV,
and we were able to play it. We got Black Ops, the first Black
really
Ops.
The best thing to me about Black Ops. I mean, the levels weren't that great. The only one I can remember, like I was saying earlier, the only one I can remember is Grid. The maps weren't that great. I really hated the you have to earn money and buy these things kind of thing.
See, I like that because it gave it a different option.
The face paint and stuff like that was really cool, but they just, they totally lost it on this whole, you have to buy stuff and everything. But the 3D option was awesome.
Yeah, it added a different aspect to the game. It definitely made it a little more challenging. And I really liked this game. I actually really liked some of the guns in it. I liked the more cartoonish look of the levels. Actually, some people hated that. I thought it was very different. The games, the thing to understand about it is they are very different. And I was very happy because it wasn't Modern Warfare 2 all over again. I was happy at the time it came out. It was a great game. Havana was one of my favorite maps. I still love Havana. There's some maps on that game that I really liked. But I think it wasn't as well received as Modern Warfare 2. With good reason. There were some issues with the game, but I liked the the different era aspect, the 60s and 70s.
I do like going back to real weapons. They were still real weapons in Modern Warfare, but they were, they're modern, obviously modern weapons. And some of them were a little bit futuristic, but I like going back and doing like the M16 and the M60, and my personal favorite, the crossbow with the exploding.
You did love that crossbow. My gun was the Stoner. I actually had a positive kill death ratio on it, which was pretty amazing for me. Johnny didn't seem to play this one a lot. I remember him coming over, but you didn't really it didn't grab you as much as it grabbed me. I think you have the same level here as Schreck on you're a fan of it.
Not really. It was all right. Like, it was still a multiplayer first-person shooter, which I love, but I had some issues with the physics. It didn't feel like you moved like you had as much like tight control as you did with Modern Warfare 2. And
but what about the dive? You got to dive in this one finally.
Yeah, I didn't really use that as much as I probably should have.
Yeah, it was very helpful. I mean, how amazing is it that we had to wait this far, for a game where you could actually dive, do some realistic motion as your character and stuff. So I thought they definitely improved on it. In some ways, there was some things I liked about it more. I definitely liked the zombies a lot in its own way. It was different.
I actually preferred the Infinity Ward bonus where you can just
Spec
kind of
Ops.
play. Yeah, where you play all these different missions, and like I remember the one with the burger joint. Which one is that? It's like the first one you play.
No, the first one you play is where you're on a little tower with a bunch of people in the snow, and you're.
Yeah, but the one where everybody's kind of invading you. The zombies to me got boring after about one or two plays. I never really did enjoy it at all.
Oh, see, I like the zombies because you also had you could get some different weaponry in there. Some futuristic weapons and stuff like that. So it was kind of cool in its own way. And I like that they're not the same game. I would have not wanted another Spec Ops. I liked having zombies being something different.
Johnny, what would be what's your opinion on the whole zombies thing?
Well, I'm obviously not as much a fan of zombies as you guys are, like with the movies and everything, but it was cool. I like the survival. It got kind of scary after a while. When they just kept coming, just constant bombardment. It felt kind of hopeless.
It was intense.
Yeah, I liked it.
So there you go. That was our Black Ops. And then the Modern Warfare 3 came out. And I have to say, I remember buying this game. I think I went and picked it up at midnight. Because I was really into Black Ops and I was really into Modern Warfare 2. I remember going and buying. I got a little poster from GameStop when I picked it up. And I remember just not being as satisfied with it as the previous two games, which was pretty surprising to me.
You asked me right now one level on that game, and I cannot tell you one level.
I don't think I could either, to be quite honest.
We didn't play it as. In fact, we played it for a little bit. But then we went back to Black Ops and Modern Warfare 2.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. I kind of remember that was the one we played the least out of them. I honestly couldn't tell you hardly anything about the game, to be honest. I think Johnny was the one who played it the most. And didn't you purchase that one as well, besides, like, for your personal, besides when you came over and played it with us?
Yeah, for a little bit when I lived with my roommate, but he played it a lot more than I did. It was okay.
Oh yeah, I remember playing that at your house with the bass thumping, and it make my heart beat every time we shot the gun. So I don't really have much to say.
Do either
about
one
this
of you
game.
guys remember any levels from that one?
No, I honestly don't. I mean, I could look at the box now and probably remember nothing of the game. In fact, I very little remember, and maybe that's why I liked Black Ops 2 so much when it came out. I mean, I might as well just move on because we have
got to move on.
Nothing to say about it. But Black Ops 2 was probably the game I played the most, to be quite honest. I actually got a gold gun on this game. I've got multiple gold guns. I've got a diamond camo they kind of changed some ways, and I got diamond camo for pistols, which means I've maxed out and gotten to gold on all my pistols. So I invested a lot of time in Black Ops 2, and I would say overall, this is my game. This is my Call of Duty. Just because I know it so well, I still play it. I played it a couple of weeks ago, in fact.
Yeah, and this would definitely on my list. It would definitely be behind Modern Warfare 2, but it's right up there. There's a lot of enjoyable levels on this one, and for some reason I can't think of them at the moment.
The boat, where you're on the boat in the middle of water, international waters, even though it's right next to
Hijack.
Hijack,
yeah.
That's what it's called.
You throw me in there, I'll remember all these levels right off, but at the moment I'm not remembering them, but this is definitely my next one from Modern Warfare 2. The respawn matrix was a little bit better than in Black Ops for sure.
Yeah, it still had some problems, but it wasn't as good as Modern Warfare 2's, but definitely better than the last two games have been.
Yeah, it was heads and tails again. It was a far better game than Black Ops, I think. You still had the 3D option as well, although we never really played it that much.
That was mainly because of John. John hated playing it. Johnny over here, every time he'd come over, he'd gripe about having to play it in 3D. And so, yeah, we never really did it. I can't remember. I think it was the first Black Ops. I can't remember if it was this one, but I have to mention the zombie game, the downloadable one from the maps. I think it was the first one.
No, it was Black Ops 2.
It was too, where you get George Romero. It's a tribute to the Romero movies. George Romero is the main zombie in it that you have to play, and it's got Michael Rooker, Sarah Michelle Gellar. I forgot who the other two were offhand. Michael Madsen.
Danny Trejo.
Michael Madsen.
No.
And Michael Rooker. I can't remember. It doesn't matter, but it was amazing. I thought it was awesome. Oh, Robert Englund. You had Freddy in there. So Buffy, Freddy. I mean, you can't beat that. And this game stood out for me. I'm sad that it's starting to kind of lose its popularity. It's getting a little harder to find. When I used to play it, I used to see like 500,000 people on it, 250,000. Now I'm only seeing about 100,000. So it's definitely losing its popularity. It's already 2 games behind. So it's just people aren't playing it anymore, unfortunately. And I've got to get some games in before it expires, because all that work I put into it's going to be gone. All those guns I got, all those great, amazing games I had on Cargo, my favorite level in there.
And like I said, that's the problem with video games for me anyway, is that all the hours and time you spent in there eventually becomes obsolete, because the technology moves so fast that in 2 years, 3 years down the road, nobody's playing that game anymore. You can never have the enjoyment that you once had on that game. Whereas movies or board games or music, you can go back and listen to them or play them or whatever 20, 30, 40 years after the fact, and they can still have the same enjoyment that they had before. Video games you can't do that with, especially when you've got online play.
Oh, I can't agree with that. I get only the online aspect of it. Even though I didn't finish the story was a lot of fun. But I'm sitting here looking at all my Nintendo games over there, and my Sega games, and my Super Nintendo, and my GameCube games.
Yeah, but honestly, how much do you play them?
Not so much since we've moved them up here. When I used to have the system downstairs, I played them a little bit more, especially when we were living at our old house. I imagine once I get a bigger TV up here and a little better, I'll play it a little bit more. But we've played GameCube games. We played a few times. I've played some Donkey Kong. So I mean, it's not like I don't ever play them. But I have lots of other interests, so it's hard to keep up with them.
So let's kind of roll back into the Call of Duty. Johnny Rico, your thoughts on Black Ops 2?
It was fun. I never owned it, so I didn't play it as much as you guys did, but I liked it a lot. It was definitely way better than Black Ops 1.
Yeah, and you've got your fair share of playing the game over here, but it's kind of one of our rituals. We once in a while to play. It's that Rock Band and that's pretty much what we play when you're here.
I kind of feel like playing it tonight.
Well, maybe after we get done with our movie, we have planned on the menu. We'll look at it.
Okay, so that's kind of our thoughts on Black Ops 2. Then we're going to move on to, and only spend a little bit of time on this one, is going to be the one that came out last year, Ghosts. We didn't play this one besides one night that Johnny brought. Was it one night?
It was like one night, but I actually have got some more gameplay when we were watching his house for him for a little while. I spent some time playing it, and I hated it just as much that time playing it. I think it's definitely it has the most beautiful looking
it's the prettiest game.
Definitely the prettiest of the games. The maps are quite large. I can't think of any of small maps from it. In fact, I mean, there's one where you're at a castle. It's just gorgeous. It's huge. There's all kinds of areas. But this game kind of definitely brought the snipers back into it. It became more of a thing to do it, to have them in. I think this was the Infinity Ward game again, wasn't it? Even though it's different people, it's Infinity Ward again, I think, making it.
Yeah, it was. It felt a lot like Modern Warfare 2. They didn't really change very much. Like you said, the levels are a lot bigger. That's pretty cool. But honestly, I haven't played it in a few months. I feel like I might be over Call of Duty in a lot of ways.
Yeah, as you get older, it gets a little harder to keep sticking with games. I mean, your views on things change, and I've noticed that I go through moods where I get into something and I get out of something. Sometimes when I know when I pop in my Black Ops 2, I still play it for hours at a time. Usually, it's not just one or two games most of the time. But it's definitely harder. I mean, I look at games now, and it's less enticing most of the time than when it used to be. Even Call of Duty, I want the Advanced Warfare, but I wasn't broken up that I couldn't get it.
Yeah, and I've kind of gone out of the video game playing. I'm in kind of a phase right now where I'm all into board games and stuff like that. Kind of gotten out of the video games, and I think, like I've stated ad nauseum, that I just don't like, especially with these online games, is losing that enjoyment that I'm going to lose eventually. I do enjoy the games. They're great to play, especially when you're sitting around, drinking, having a good time or whatever. You can just pop them in, pass the controller around, everybody plays it. It's really an enjoyable time to do or to have. But the problem is when you do it, you strive for all these goals. Like you said, you've got the diamond gun and the gold gun. All that time that you spent doing that is going to mean nothing soon.
As we finish this conversation, it's starting to kind of sound like this is our swan song, our love letter to an era that's passing away from us, and it's kind of sad and depressing to hear this. I didn't go into this expecting this to be something we're talking, but as we talk about it, it almost seems like we're all kind of moving away from it and saying, like I said, I'm not broken up about that. I don't have the new game, even if I did want to play it. And when I made that statement, you both just looked at me and kind of nodded and realized that it's a true statement. I mean,
and I think part of it is that Call of Duty, the franchise and the brand, is it's just too much out there. They put out a new game every single year.
Yeah, I mean, think about Mario Kart. We still love Mario Kart. We're sad we're more upset that we don't have a Wii U so we can play the new Mario Kart, because there's only one game every new system. That's all you get is one Mario Kart, and it lasts you the entire time. And it's still good. We still play Double Dash, I was thinking about Wii Kart when we were talking about it the other day, and you don't get that with Call of Duty. It's like, oh, it's been 2 years since it's only been 3 years since Black Ops 2 came out. 2 years. Black Ops 2 came out, and it's already almost obsolete. That's a problem.
Yeah, they oversaturate the market, and now you're looking at, none of these games really mean that much anymore because you put out a new one every single year. So when you do that, the public is just like, oh, I'm moving on to the next one, toss the other one aside, move on to the next one.
And we can also point out how Call of Duty kind of changed things. All other games like Counter-Strike and other first-person shooters used to give you free maps. And then Call of Duty decided we should start paying for new maps to play the game, to keep my interest in the game, to make more money. So we can also blame them for having to pay for extra maps.
And I honestly didn't mind. I really liked, especially with like Modern Warfare 2, I liked getting those new map packs.
Yeah, I just wish I didn't have to pay for them. That would have been great.
So
final thoughts as we go out of Call of Duty. I want you to name your favorite game, and your favorite weapon. Since we should hopefully know that. We'll start with Johnny Rico since he's had so little to say this time with us. Hopefully next time he's with us he'll be a little more vocal. I doubt it though. Let's hear your favorite map. Your favorite, obviously I'm going to assume your favorite game is Modern Warfare 2.
Yes.
And your favorite gun.
Oh yeah, obviously Modern Warfare 2. It's the one I've spent the most time on. That's what really made me obsessed with Call of Duty. Don't really have a favorite level. Like I said, Favela is cool, but I mean, it's been so long since I played it. I can't remember the titles of.
No Studio, or what was the what's the original version of it called?
I don't remember.
Scrap. No, it's not Scrapyard. It's Studio and Firing Range.
Yeah, Firing Range.
No Firing
and
Range?
then what about Nuketown?
Yeah, Nuketown's good. I'm trying to think my favorite gun. What is it called?
What game is it from?
Modern Warfare 2. The UMP.
The UMP?
Oh
yeah.
Definitely.
The cheater gun.
The cheater gun.
Auto lock with that auto lock. So I'll go ahead and go next. Mine obviously is probably going to be Favela, just because it stood out the most for me. My favorite gun was the M1A4, which was in both Modern Warfare 3 and Modern Warfare 2. It's the starter gun you get. It's the basic. It has light damage, very light recoil. Actually, I really came into the pistol, so I can't really. I don't know. It's hard. It's so hard. But I'm gonna stick with my first choice. So my favorite game is gonna be Black Ops 2, though, just because I invested the most time into it, and I love playing it. And the maps, for the most part, are all pretty good.
All right, and I've already stated my favorite game with Johnny Rico on this one on Modern Warfare 2. My favorite map, I mentioned it already. I love Scrapyard. From the first one, I still remember every time getting really excited that I got to play that. And I loved a lot of guns over the years, like I said, the dual wielding P90s. There was also the Scar. I love the Scar, but I have to say my favorite weapon to play with, the one I enjoyed the most, was the crossbow on Black Ops 1.
Yeah, that thing was you loved shooting that and all the
I got some awesome kills with that across the board.
You did have some nice. That one in Havana you had was amazing.
Yes. All right, so that's going to be our thoughts on Call of Duty, the Call of Duty franchise, kind of our swan song, I guess you could say, to it. We're going to move on now to...
since Johnny won't be joining us for the rest of our feature, let's go ahead and wave to him goodbye. Thank you for joining us on this evening's Schreck Talk. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you, and good night to everybody.
Well, good night for him, but we are moving on to Mr. Joshua's Tea Time. Mr. Joshua, take it away.
Tea time! Tea time!
For a relaxing time, make it Suntory time. And welcome to our inaugural whiskey time, having a Jameson this evening. Moving on, though, we're going to talk about a comic I really like. It's kind of interesting because the comic world is if you know anything about comics, they're really large worlds. You have to know a lot of the following. It takes a lot of work. You have to stick with it. There's multiple issues that connect in an overlying world. I mean, would you say, is DC like this?
Yes, everything's kind of in its own. I mean, it's the DC universe, and everything kind of overlaps, and they have big, all-encompassing kind of stories and stuff like that take place, like, for instance, like Blackest Night, or
over multiple titles.
Yes, Infinity Crisis, or Crisis on Infinite World, or not Infinity Crisis, but Crisis on Infinite Worlds. They have a whole bunch of them in DC as well.
And unless you're really committed, going into any story setup, you really don't know the backstory to it unless you've been following the comic pretty religiously. And so having said that, I'm going to talk about a comic that I really like. It came out in 95 and 96. It's an X-Men title. It's an alternate universe called The Age of Apocalypse. It's pretty popular among the fans storyline. It encompassed the entire X-Men universe, because within the Marvel universe there's also the X-Men universe, which has a number of titles in it. There was like Generation X, I think, was one. Wolverine was one. So they kind of retitled all of these and made this alternate storyline in a world where, long story short, Xavier's kid goes back in time and ends up killing, and Xavier ends up dying, and we end up in a world.
Who's Xavier's kid's mom?
I have no idea. Exactly. I have no idea. Coming into this is why it's not really that important.
Oh, okay.
The whole intro was to set up how I had no idea how this storyline could come about, but this is how it comes about. In the timeline, Xavier's kid goes back in time and to stop his father, tries to kill Magneto to help his father because he loved his father. He wanted to kill Magneto, and instead accidentally Xavier sacrifices himself and saves Magneto, and so it starts this whole alternate timeline. Where you get the Age of Apocalypse, where without Xavier, what happened in this world? I know you've perused this a little bit. Do you have any initial thoughts before I really dive into it?
Not really. I mean, we kind of had an agreement where I said I will read the first volume, or I will read. No, that was on the Sandman, but I tried to read the Age of Apocalypse. And unfortunately, I mean, I don't know anything about the Marvel Universe. It was really hard for me to get into it. I think I might have finished 2 issues out of that first volume, and that's it, because I just really didn't understand anything that was going on.
Yeah, and that's really what it is. So what happens after Legion, who is Xavier's kid, that's actually his name, he creates this alternate timeline where Bishop is the only person who understands what's happened. That something is that the world used to be different and that it's changed. Now Magneto is the leader of the X-Men. Apocalypse reigns over all of North America with his Horsemen. It's a very different title. And one of the things you said was hard to pick up, I think, is what makes it great. It's easy to pick up. You don't have to know the backstories on these. I didn't know most of the characters. There's 8 different titles in here. I mean, and they're all very different. You know, they all have characters that I don't know, different characters. You know, 1 or 2 you might know, a ton I didn't know. But by the end of the story, I knew them and I was familiar with them because the story kind of ties itself all together over all these issues. And starts with Alpha, which introduces it, and ends in Omega. And at the end of the storyline, that we went back to the existing Marvel universe. It is a little hard to follow with the amount of characters, but I think the story and the universe, it creates this really dark X-Men world where Apocalypse, I mean, most of North America has been culled, as they call it, large mass killings, a huge portion of the human population have been euthanized, basically. And I really like it. When I was a kid, I only actually owned 1 set of the issues, which was the Astonishing X-Men. It was 4 issues because they each had 4 issues over 4 months. And I only had that one, and I think Alpha. And I still loved it. And when I got an adult, I ended up having to track it down and buy the trades so I could read the whole story. And it was so much better actually getting the whole title. I wish you'd give it another chance, in fact.
Well, if I'm going to give that a chance, then you got to go through and read all the Blackest Nights.
We'll do issue counts here because I think that's a very different set of size because that's how many trades there.
Yeah, and you'll find it just as hard to follow Blackest Night as I did trying to follow the X-Men Age of Apocalypse. In fact, when I first picked up Blackest Night, I'd only really, of the new DC, it was when I kind of got back into comics. The only thing I knew was what I had read from the Green Lantern. From No Fear, The Rise of the Red Lanterns, which was a prequel to the Sinestro Corps War, the one where they're fighting I don't even remember what it's called at the moment, where all the different colors are coming up of the rings. So when I dove into Blackest Night, I had the same problem. The only thing is I did have a starting point there. When I went into Age of Apocalypse, I didn't have that starting point.
See, but I didn't
that makes
either.
It hard.
I didn't either. My starting point was the issues I had read when I was younger, so I knew a little bit of the story already, and then it was the X-Men TV show and stuff like that because I never really read too many of the comics. I knew a little bit. I owned an issue here and there. But this was the first time I had ever even tried to buy issues as a kid. I was never a huge comic collector. I liked issues, but I never had a large collection in order. That was the biggest problem. But I thought it was a nice universe. Final thought on it was it had this great artwork in one of the stories, the Generation Next characters. The artwork and it was just really kind of out there. It was different from anything I've seen in a lot of comics, and I kind of thought that made it stand out. Whereas most of the other artwork is kind of standard. Marvel doesn't really have anything that appealing to it. So if you like X-Men, check it out. It's a good trade. We're gonna.
Well, no. I want to ask you: are they planning on doing this as one of the X-Men movies? Do you think that that's going to come about?
Not really. The next X-Men movie is going to be Apocalypse. But it's supposed to take place in the 80s. It's not where in this story he's taken over completely. Apocalypse is my favorite villain, but he's already taken over in the world, and I think that's what makes it so great. Is he's got this power, and they're the underdogs. The world has been they're the rebels hiding out from the big bad wolf, basically. And I look forward to the movie, but I just highly doubt it's going to be that story.
That's the next one?
Yes, Apocalypse.
Okay, because I know they kind of did in Days of Future Past. They kind of did a whole little thing where Bishop was going back in time, and then Wolverine, he was sending Wolverine back and stuff like that. Is that similar to what happens in the comic for Age of Apocalypse?
No, it all happens when he creates this schism. He creates this alternate timeline. It changes the past. I think in the later universe they would reconstitute it as Earth, whatever. A different Marvel Earth. There's like Marvel 515 is our Earth, the real Earth or whatever. And then there's all these different ones where alternate stories. I think you had DC has the same thing.
DC does the same thing, and that's kind of where the Infinity or the Infinite Crisis kind of happened. Is you had all these different worlds. You have Earth 1, Earth 2. I think there's 52 Earths. That's hence why you have the new 52 that came out recently. And like what's it? Last Son of Krypton, or not Last Son, Red Son. The Superman story where he actually falls into communist is one of the the alternate timelines. I didn't know that Marvel actually had that as well.
Yeah. I mean, and then there's the Marvel 1642. That's an alternate time. That's considered an alternate Earth as well.
1642, is that the year?
1602.
1602, yeah.
I think. Neil Gaiman wrote it. But yeah, I don't know. I can't really give any more praise. I think it's not as easy to pick up as, say, example 1602, which is a completely alternate. It has very little to do with the other universe, but it's easy enough. You can grab it. It'll be a little hard to start, but you'll have fun reading it. Maybe I'll give Blackest Night a try. Maybe you should give Age of Apocalypse another try.
We'll see. So are we going to move on now?
Yeah, let's move on and see what you got for us this week.
What are you doing in my swamp?
Alrighty, so what do I have this week? I'm going to go into mixed martial arts and tell you about my favorite personal fighter. Now, I used to be in martial arts when I was a kid. Up into I was about 15, 16 when I quit. And I actually started watching UFC from UFC 2 when it aired on pay-per-view. And we watched them all the way up to UFC 9, and then they kind of went off the air. You didn't really see about them anymore. But when I was in the Air Force, I got back into them through a buddy of mine, Terry Lewis, who was actually an MMA fighter in a lower organization. And he was telling me about, the Pride Fighting Championship and all this stuff. And he started bringing, like, his videotapes and that kind of stuff to work, and we would watch them.
Videotapes? What are videotapes?
Yeah, videotapes are, like, analog versions of DVDs.
Analog?
Yeah, we're not going to go there. But he would bring in his videotapes of Prides and stuff like that, and then me and a couple other guys started buying them at the store and everything like that and got all the Prides. And right from the beginning, I fell in love with this guy, Kazushi Sakuraba. This is like my ultimate...
Kazushi is what?
Kazushi Sakuraba.
One more time.
Kazushi
Sakuraba.
Sakuraba. He's a Japanese fighter. Pride fighting was like the UFC version, or the version of UFC in Japan. It's a little bit different and stuff like that, but Sakuraba was like the guy right from the beginning. I watched him in UFC 2 with Carlos Newton, one of my absolute favorite fights of all time. They both kind of had like a little unspoken agreement that neither one of them was going to punch each other, and it was just both of them rolling around, just trying all kinds of finishing moves, submissions on each other. There was no physical, no punches, no kicks thrown, just takedowns, knee bars, Kimuras, whatever they were going to do, they were doing it all in the match, just kind of rolling around.
Real dude sweat.
Yeah, great fight. He has like just this like charismatic. He came over from Japanese pro wrestling, and Japanese pro wrestling actually has a lot of the first guy who fought in UFC 1 in the main event was Takada, who was actually, he fought Rickson Gracie, and he's like the Hulk Hogan of Japan. So they are good fighters. They're professional wrestlers over there, are good fighters, and none more so than Sakuraba. He's got a lot of flair for the dramatic. He knows how to keep the crowds in there. He's kind of goofy looking. He's got these big cauliflower ears.
Well, he's not just goofy looking, he's goofy acting, too.
Yeah, he acts totally goofy. He makes his fights interesting. For a while there, he was called the Gracie Killer because Gracie after Gracie after Gracie would get sent up to fight him every UFC, and he would knock them all down. He would take them all out, including Henzo Gracie, Hoist Gracie. He fought him for an hour and a half before Hoist Gracie's family threw the towel in. I mean, he was just destroying left after right after the next guy. High end Gracie. He was just destroying them all.
Nice save.
Yeah, I didn't do that very good. Very well. But, I mean, the guy's a fabulous, entertaining fighter. He beat the crap out of Vitor Belfort. Let me see. Who else did he what's his name? Alan Goes or whatever. He destroyed him. I mean, he just constantly, he was going through all the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guys and just destroying them at their own game, submissions.
Yeah, it almost seems like, I remember watching Pride, and it almost always seems sometimes like it was Japan versus Brazil a lot. It really did.
It was a pride, I mean, pun intended, it was a pride thing. Japan had a lot of pride with their, fighting styles and their ability and their fighters. And, of course, everybody knows how cocky the Brazilians are. So the Brazilians wanted to go over there and just destroy the Japanese fighters. Well, and for the most part they did, except for when it came to Sakuraba. I mean, he would go through just Brazilian after Brazilian after Brazilian, destroying him. Vitor Belfort just laid on his back for the whole fight while Sakuraba kicked the crap out of his legs. He had these huge old welts on his legs. He couldn't get up, and he couldn't really do anything except for to try to kick at Sakuraba's legs, and Sakuraba just beat him mercilessly.
I remember that at the end of the fight, like as it went into it, he's like, he'd get hit, and you could see the pain on his face. You could see that sting. That was pretty entertaining.
Yeah, and then that's when he started doing his like creative things, because that happened quite a bit. The Brazilian fighters would end up on their back, staring up at him while he kicks the crap out of their legs. So he would do stuff like he would just jump up. He would jump up in midair and slam his heels right down on their head. Or after they got used to that, he would, get a running start and then do it, or get a running start and then, side kick them right in the face. I mean, he was always entertaining. He would grab their legs and just spin them around in a circle like he's in a rodeo or something like that. I mean, it was he was the most entertaining fighter I've ever seen, period.
Yeah, what happened to him?
Well, funny, I was talking about how he was destroying all the Brazilians over and over and over again. Well, it got to the point where he ran into one Brazilian that he couldn't destroy. Vanderlei Silva, who...
The Axe Murderer,
who came over into Pride and totally dominated. He dominated the whole UFC or the whole Pride for a long time. And he came over 3 times he fought Sakuraba. Each time he beat him. I think the first time, Sakuraba got knocked out. The second time, he broke his collarbone. And the third time, I believe he got knocked out as well. I mean, Vanderlei just had his number. But he still continued. He wasn't as good as he was back in those early days. But he was always interesting and entertaining to watch.
I think I think part of it was Vanderlei had a little bit more aggressive striking style than the other Brazilians did. He was definitely had more striking. He did still have the talent on the ground, but he had this power. He could throw it.
Yeah, he would just go at Sakuraba like a wild, crazy animal, like he did back in those days. His arms flailing and stuff like that, and he would invariably, one of those shots would hit, and Sakuraba would go down. That kind of, cemented that whole relationship, those battles. As far as MMA like battles go, they're not that great because Vanderlei kind of beat up on Sakuraba. There was no great Frazier versus Ali 3 bouts or anything like that, or Chuck Liddell and
Tito?
No, not Tito. That was terrible. I think it was only one fight. They might have fought a second time, but Randy Couture, there was nothing like that going on. It was pretty much one-sided, Vanderlei beating up on Sakuraba. But before that, he was the best fighter in Pride Fighting Championship up until that point, and still to this day, the most entertaining fighter I've ever seen in MMA, boxing. Professional wrestling is just a joke.
Hey,
but
no,
yeah.
It's not. Those people are athletes too. All right, I'm gonna test your knowledge and watch you fail. What's his record?
I have no idea what his record is.
Oh, you didn't do your research?
No, I didn't do my research. We're not supposed to research this stuff. This is just supposed to come from our brains, our knowledge about these things.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, you never researched this stuff? Like, he's your boy. Why have you looked it up?
I did, but it's hard to remember, what his record was, and he might have fought some fights since then. I don't remember when he retired. I kind of got out of the whole MMA thing, so I didn't really pay too much more attention.
You're slipping, son.
But anyway, so that's my thoughts on the greatest MMA fighter that I've ever seen. So now we're going to move on to our final countdown.
It's the final countdown.
Alrighty, and we're back. So we're going to do a good one here. I hope you're ready for this. We're going to count down our top 5 Star Wars characters. Now, these are only characters that are in the movies, the 6 movies, the prequels, and the original trilogy. Not the new one, obviously, because it hasn't come out.
No Ewok movie characters that aren't in the regular movies.
No Star Wars Christmas special.
Clone War, definitely not the Christmas special.
The Clone Wars TV series. We're not going to go into any of the books, even though I've read a few of them. Nothing into the comic books or anything like that. This is just those 6 movies, nothing else. So we're going to start here with Mr. Joshua. Mr. Joshua, give us your number 5.
Oh, you guys know how I like to cheat a lot of the times with this. So my number 5, I got it. Who do we love to hate? What do we love to hate about Star Wars? Episode 1. So everyone who's in Episode 1 deserves our love as my number 5 because I love to hate him so much.
That really is a big cheat. But I'll go with my number 5. And I don't even know how to pronounce this guy's name. I had to look up his name because I didn't know his name. Nien Nunb. He is the goofy, dorky guy who's sitting in the Millennium Falcon with Lando Calrissian in The Return of the Jedi and just laughs. That's all he does. But that'd have to be my number 5.
My number 4 is my beautiful lady, Miss Padme Amidala. I should have picked her side maid or whatever,
Dorme or Corday,
whoever Keira Knightley played. But I went with Padme because I actually really liked her. I thought she was a good character, pretty interesting, and a lot of fun.
And I got to go with the cliche one of 2 characters that everybody always picks from Star Wars, and I'm going to go with Darth Vader. He was the original bad guy. James Earl Jones is just awesome. He would be a lot higher if I hadn't gotten into I'll get to that a little bit later. But Vader is going to be my number 4.
My number 3, we're going to go with here. He's from the prequels, and his name is Count Dooku. That's right. Or also
Darth Tyrannus.
But I think he gets called that once or twice, maybe in the movies.
I think the only time I remember him getting called it is at the end of Attack of the Clones, where he meets in Coruscant with Palpatine, and he's like, Lord Tyrannus.
Let's put it like this. If you put Christopher Lee in a movie and we're going to rate a list of it, something relating to that movie, Christopher Lee will be in that list. Enough said.
Alrighty, so my number 3 is going to be Mr. Obi-Wan Kenobi. I think, as far as the character goes, he's a really interesting character. Alec Guinness and Ewan McGregor are the 2 actors that played him. Alec Guinness, obviously, in the original trilogy, and then Ewan McGregor in the new ones. The character is he's the best Jedi character, in my opinion, in the whole Star Wars saga.
He embodies what it means to be a Jedi. I think that really is what makes him so great. My number 2 is going to be somebody, as you said, when we always talk about it. I think there's actually 3 people we always talk about, but we don't talk about Boba Fett.
Boba Fett is not that good.
Except for just now.
I like Jango Fett better, personally.
All right, we're not going to get into that, though. And number 2, I got Mr. Hansel, the original renegade. He shot first. Let's say he's not a killer. He knows how to protect himself. He stays out there. He's safe. He's loyal to his friends. He's the reason. I think he's part of the reason the movies were so popular.
Alrighty, so I'm going to go to my number 2. You've already mentioned it, Mr. Christopher Lee, Lord Tyrannus, Count Dooku himself. Like you said, you put Christopher Lee in that character. I think he carries so much weight behind the character. One of the reasons my favorite Lord of the Rings character is Saruman is specifically because of Christopher Lee's portrayal.
Way to give it away if we ever do a list. Golly.
Yeah, they'll forget about that.
I did too.
Yeah. So Count Dooku is going to be my number 2.
My final, the winner, you already mentioned him. He is the best Jedi. Obi-Wan. What more can we already said it. 2 great actors played him. He embodies what people love about. I mean, Jedi is considered a religion in England. It's England, but no, I'm just kidding. I love England. Actually, you can attest to that from. We'll get to that another time. But yeah, they steal the show. Obi-Wan.
Yeah. All right. So my number 1, I'm going to the dark side again. Hands down, my favorite character by far is going to be Darth Sidious, Emperor Palpatine, Senator Palpatine, if you want to go that far back. He is what makes, I think, both trilogies so great, is his presence in Empire, and even more so in Return of the Jedi, just the evilness that he encapsulates in that character, and the whole setup that he did to turn the Republic into an empire, I thought was wonderful. And personally, I've read books, from.
Hey.
I've read books, and it's even made my love even more. I love him regardless. But Sidious, by far, hands down, the only one I can go with.
There you go. I mean, it's Star Wars. Everybody's got a list on Star Wars of some sort. I mean, we could talk about our favorite droids or our least favorite droids. Just
are these the droids we're looking for?
And we got to give money to them because we use the term droids.
Okay. So that's going to be it for our episode today. I hope you like the kind of messed up recording we have with this one. The levels weren't too right, but we had a visit from Johnny Rico. He was here to discuss Call of Duty with him. So thank you, Johnny Rico, for coming by. Next week, we're going to be discussing Planet of the Apes. We're going to be discussing curling, a band you might have heard of called Blackstone Cherry. If not, I'm going to tell you about them. And we're going to count down our top 5 superheroes. See you next week.
Go away or I shall taunt you a second time.